So, we finally get to find out what is going on with Toka, knowing that she has schizophrenia, is the best way to even describe what she's having there. So, finally, with Chapter 15 coming out for us Fairy Tail, there was quite some interesting revelations about, especially with Toka, and also as well with the stuff that is concluding with Kiria and Urza's fight, not to mention as well with Natsu, going on to addressing, I would say, like, the first real arc, I should say, of this, like, entire story, which is interesting since, like, we still haven't really progressed the majority of the story for, like, 100-year quests. Like, for a lot of people, I feel like that were like me, who are worrying a little bit more about, like, how short this series was, because we figured, like, it could be 13 chapters, it could be even like 20 plus or something on there. It could depend as well. We still have yet to go through a lot of the Dragon Kings themselves and, like, dealing with all of them. But with at least what some of the stuff we're going and with how we're addressing some of the stuff with Diabolos as well, like, we are going at, like, at least a decent pace compared to some of the stuff that we've had before. So let's go and talk about the Toka stuff immediately, because it finally comes out of the open that apparently, you know, you're getting in the way right now, Jalal on there. And she finally explains a lot more of her reasons, like, why she's been stalking Fairy Tail and talking about it. So, like, why are you getting close to them? And it's like, well, you could have a few theories or two on there, and it's like, and she just simply straight up addresses the fact of the matter is that they're too strong. Like, you have got all of this magical energy gathered around at one point, and how she clearly addresses it is like, a magic that will be too large will lead into chaos and destruction. Those people who go against the teachings of the White, well, that will bring nothing to, like, would bring everything to nothingness. After all, fairies are just that. They're just fairy tales, after all. Like, and it's like, and she'd say, like, what? You're saying that magic is evil? Then what the hell are you supposed to be and all that? And she's like, look, I'm not saying that, like, it's evil and all that, but whenever, like, magic too large piles up, like, stuff like this will just, it will lead into chaos. So it's like, power attracts more power is what she's trying to mainly get at, where it's like, you have one prominent force, and she's trying to use the example of, say, like, what happened with Alvarez, and, like, what happened as well, like, if you have too much of the concentrated power, this will lead into more things going down the future, hence why, you know, like, with what happened with, like, Fairy Tail, when they say, like, when we had stuff with, like, Grimroll Heart, like, it just attracts one another, like, when it's, like, two concentrated power points, and it's, like, good always fighting evil, and, like, this is what happens when, like, you get to this, and it's going to eventually lead to destruction of mankind. But she just goes, you know what? Actually, Jalal, I am not in the mood to debate this with you right now, as I'm going to turn you into nothingness. And you notice that her entire body just starts glowing white. This weird, like, psychedelic effect just starts happening as, like, Jalal is getting full-on absorbed. And it was like, she has the ability to drain Jalal, like, his entire entity, as she's like, huh, your magic's flowing into me now and all that. And it's like, a strong magic will turn black, just like Xerath. But before that happens and all that, and before it turns that way, I will turn this entire world white. As she just, like, starts glowing and, like, this really weird sadistic smile. And then she snaps right out of it immediately, where it's like the other Toka just comes out. It's like, wait, what is going on? Like, Jalar's like, wait, are you, like, schizophrenic? Like, are you, like, got two personalities, like, on there? She's like, hurry, get out of there before the other one comes involved with me. And it's just like, so we at least know and all that at least it is Toka, and then the other version and all that is being addressed just as White Mage. And it's just like, you need to stop hurting people, White Mage. Like, what is going on? So, like, that is a theme with Xerath as well, where Xerath had the same thing, where he was that mentally broken that there were two personalities, where it was like, we had the normal Xerath that was like, he was like, sometimes he could be kind, he could be sad, like, and then you just had the one that was filled with pure rage, like uncontrollable, deniable rage, where it's like, this is what I want right now. I want to destroy everything. Like, before this even addressed, like, got even further, Gargiel came busted in, smacking her down to the ground, and is like Panther is like, dude, bind her now. Like, just immediately, no questions asked. Like, I'm putting chains on the bitch. Like, just pin her to the ground. This is a fucking SWAT raid going on. Get down. And it was like, immediately Juvia and Levy were there. It's like, and Levy's like, oh, you were actually right. And it was like, yeah, you might want to apologize to your husband about that and explain what was going on. And like Jalal's there like just holding himself a little bit. He's like, I just got my ass saved right now. And she's like, another personality. And it's like, wait, so just what is going on? Why is like, you know, the white mage then residing within Toka then? And it's just like, and immediately, like, you know, everyone's there, like, just holding her down, like, what is even going on right now, and all that. It's like she's unconscious. Then, like, that's all we get for that kind of segment. So, generally, for that part of the segment of the story, I was kind of interested in some of that stuff that we were getting in there. I was like, that's leading into it. Then we go back to Kiria and Urza, who, some pretty cool stuff are going on to this one, where it's like, you see a lot of the moves like Kiria's kind of doing, like, with her, like, slash dragon stuff, where she's, like, there, like, with just, like, a heel, she's, like, breaks the tip of Urza's blade, whereas, like, she's actually getting a bit of a competition right now, and it's just, like, she's, like, telling her, it's like, I'm telling you, there's nothing I can't cut right now, and then Urza pulls out her trump card. I was like, alright then. So, Urza's not the kind of character that really had any kind of upgrades or any kind of more power throughout the series. Then she just decides that her blade basically becomes Excalibur from like Fate's Stay Night, and it's like, wait, what the hell did you do to that sword? And it was like, after all, our job was to slay dragons and all that, so I got Wendy to enhance the blade itself. Finally pulling out what like her trump cards for this entire like 100-year quest, the dragon slaying sword, Belserion. So yeah, people know that she decided to name her blade after her mother, which again is something that I kind of at least like I found a little charming in its own way. Like, and even as well, I do like the panel of her like pulling the blade out, and she's there like ready to see like, so I'm gonna try that edge on you now, see if I can try and like defeat you now. It was a nice little, like, if anything on there, like, it was a nice little moment to remember her mother by, because again, with what we know with Ideen as well, it's like, and it's making me a little bit more curious about how they're going to be handling that stuff in the anime as well. Again, like, I've been slowly catching back up to the anime again, that's why I haven't been talking about it, but like, generally, like, the stuff with Irene was one of the more characters I was fascinated with throughout the entirety of the war, and now that we're going to be getting a little bit more time with her soon, I believe, with where the anime is at right now, I believe they just covered the, a lot of the Xerath and Mavis kind of romance stuff on there that they had. I generally want to see a little bit more of, like, what she can do with, like, her dragon slaying sword Belserion, and, like, its sort of its extents to the powers. Like, again, this is the first time in a while that I haven't hated an Urza fight. Like, again, it's not amazing because they haven't been focusing on it. They've been focusing more on the Natsu stuff, but again, it's fine. Like, this is the one where it's like, I don't hate this one, like, and again, it's like, they're using something as well that is like, they never, like, fully tried out before. It's like, oh, she actually has a trumped card this time, and not just because it's Urza, it's because she actually had to end up using someone else's power, like, against it. Like, she's using Wendy to enhance, and they decided, it's like, well, we've tested out the theory of we can enhance people. Can we like enhance inanimate objects though with Wendy? So we're going to test that theory, and we get to see this, and this is going to be like her blade, Belserion. And honestly, I thought it was I felt like that was the nicest moment I've had in a while, because again, a lot of the time when I see Urza on screen, or at least when she's now about to fight, there's always this voice of dread in my voice where I'm like, oh, here we go. Alright, let's see how she fucking, like, bullshits her way out of this one, or, like, let's see how she claps through this kind of stuff. But, again, that was not my issue with this chapter, though. Like, I feel like, that was the stuff where I was fine with. It was the stuff that was with actually Natsu's end of the story, which I was like, I was a little bit miffed at, where we saw Wendy going against, like, with everyone with Diablos, and Madmore was there as, like, Natsu versus Madmore, where it was, like, he was using the Armor Dragon, like, Steel Fist, and then he used, his own version, and he was actually ending up seemingly to fight back against Madmore, where it was like, wait, what the hell, and all that. It's like, you're never gonna pierce the scales and all that, like, you're never gonna do that, and he's like, oh, that's fine and everything, but can you take the heat from me right now? And he's just like, no, but my armor dragon has heat resistance, and literally Natsu's like, doesn't matter though, my heat can overwhelm it. And he's like, no, it's not gonna work. And he's just pushing his limits on there. Then Natsu decides to fucking use his Fire Dragon King ability and does Fire Dragon King Purgatory, as he just decides to, like, destroy him and his entirety of this armor, sending a nuke off. And yeah, like that, Natsu immediately beats Mad Mole, which I was like, oh, never mind. That was a quick fight. Never mind. He got his ass kicked once, and then it was like, no, I think the fact of the matter is like, I'm just gonna punch him, but even harder. Like, that was literally how that fight was concluded, where it's like, I'm gonna just melt him. It's fine, I'll punch him a little harder. Again, I like a little bit, I know, like, again, there's not the most deepest of like combats and tactics in this series, but it's like, a little bit more than just punch and punch harder. Like, again, I know it is the Fire Dragon King mode we are talking about, which is, again, this was the shit that went against Zeref. I do fully understand where people are saying, like, actually, yeah, was able to go toe-to-toe against Zeref. And it's like, yeah, that was able to go against Zeref, like, even went against, like, his form. The fact of the matter is that I still want to see a little bit something more entertaining from a fight than just, like, if I had this form and all that, at least have some restrictions onto it, or maybe had some sort of limit, or maybe there was a little bit more leading to the fight where, like, Natsu had to recover some of his stamina beforehand, like, before he could try and use this, or he had to find out a new tactical way where it's like, I can't, like, use raw power against this guy, I need to trick this guy. Like, again, that was my issue with that kind of, like, fight for what we had in the most part, and overall and all that, I'm, like, again, I think the Toka stuff, and ironically, the Urza, like, again, when Urza is one of the better parts of the chapter, I found that surprisingly shocking. Like, I generally thought that, where it's like, I actually liked Urza, like, in this chapter. Like, I generally do. That's weird for me to feel, because I normally, like, I love I love the stuff with her and Jalal. I always love, like, the little relationship parts like they have on there, or when she's just talking as a person. It's just every time I see her pick up the sword, I worry. I'm like, no, here we go. I'm worried about this fight. Please, we're just gonna have to wait and see, like, how that's gonna be handled. But it probably would be handled next chapter, if anything, for how it's going and dealing with this other guy as well, and Diablos as well, the leader. So we'll wait and see and all that, like, what's going to be going down with there. But I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comment section down below, what you thought about this chapter of Fairy Tail. But that is all from me, as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.